Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Roxie Fiste. She is an author, illustrator of children's book, and with vibrant characters. Her passion is to create stories that will inspire kids to explore their own creativity and to have fun. She enjoys creating new characters for her books. She also enjoys helping children expand their imagination through art and storytelling. Welcome to the show, Roxy.
Thank you very much for having me, AJ.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India in this online form, Roxy. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe, a lot of children across the globe will benefit from what we are talking right now. We'll talk about how one can create stories, children's stories that matter to them, matter to parents, matter to the whole world. But before we come to this part, let's understand a bit about your journey, Roxy, your background, so that people know more about you, actually knows who they are listening to.
Okay. I am from a typical town in Ohio. I grew up very crazy about horses, and then I discovered creative writing when I was in high school, carried that on into college, but then life got in the way, I guess you could say. And then many years later, I decided, okay, it's time. So I got involved in developing my story, and several other stories sort of cropped up from there. So that's when I began publishing them. So, yeah, that was basically my background.
Wonderful, wonderful. So now talking about children's world, you know about children's book. You illustrate. You are an illustrator. You write about. I will come to your book also. So I want to understand, what does the children's world look like in terms of, is it full of mobile phone, or is it full of books? How do you see it as an author in today's time?
Oh, that's a great question. I was very frustrated looking around at kids today because I see parents giving them tablets or phones or something to look at instead of a book. And I thought, oh, I need to get a book out there, something that would be exciting enough where a kid would put down the phone or the iPad and read the book with the parents, sort of bring them together as a family. And that's why I created Allie's Big Adventure, which is the first book in a series. I wanted kids to realize they are full of creativity. They have a spark within them that needs to be ignited so that as they grow up, they don't forget about their creativity, their own drive in there, that, they can create things. They can become future leaders, whatever it is in the future, because we're going to depend on them someday. And I thought, get their nose out of an iPad or a phone and get them into books, get them into reading. I wanted to create something that was fun, that had little lessons in it, and then maybe they'll create something of their own.
Absolutely, they can create something of their own and make a huge difference to the world. But tell us about your creation in this whole process of creating this book, Ali's Big Adventure. What are the challenges you faced, in terms of, making it creative, as well as you have to make it storytelling in a good form for the children itself, to keep their attention so that they leave the phone aside and keep hold of the book and learn about so many things.
Yes, yes. When I first decided, okay, it's time, I had tried to get it published when I was in college. My college professor said, "You're ready to go. This is a great book." I did 3 illustrations because it was a chapter book. And then when I submitted it, I submitted it to the wrong type of a publishing company who didn't do children's work. And in the process of dealing with that, my life changed a lot, and I ended up on this huge journey, which took many years. And finally, I went back to it. And when I did, the I found a good publishing company, and I was talking to the head of the children's department, and she said, "Love the story. We're not going to do it as a chapter book. You're going to do it as a picture book." So it's like, oh no, I only had three free paintings, so I had to go back and redo. I came up with 24 for that one. And then in the follow-up book that I've done right now, the new one, I did 30 paintings. So it's been a real fun adventure, but it can be frustrating too. So yeah. And then when it was published, it was number one in 3 categories, which was really exciting to me because it was like animal, action, and adventure. I didn't even know that category existed. But it was kind of fun that way. And I've learned a lot through the process. So for the second book, when I wrote the story and picked up where the other one left off, I knew what direction I wanted to go. So that was basically the journey there.
Right. So through your books, what do you want to tell children? What do you want to teach them? Is it about more about story? Is it about creativity? Is it about fun? Is it about changing the world? Is it about something else?
Well, I think you've hit on a lot of what I wanted the books to do. I had gotten frustrated when I saw all the different things that were coming at kids. A lot of them were kind of preachy, the books are, or it was trying to teach them something about their everyday life, like how to get dressed, how to try new foods, things like that. I wanted to do something that was totally different, that was really fun for the kids. I wanted to get down on their level. Let's have fun. And along the way, you're going to learn little things that were going to help you in the future, little lessons. And I made it so that in the book, parents can, or caregivers, or anybody who is helping a child in their journey, will have little stopping points where they can discuss things along the way, but they can still have fun. It's an adventure, and it doesn't come across as in your face. I'm throwing it at you. And in the end, I wanted them to learn creativity. And I had one of the kids that had the book read to him. He changed the names of all the characters, so his creativity was sparked. And some of them have even tried to create their own. So I'm really excited about that.
Absolutely. So let's come to the book, Ali's Big Adventure. Is this book already in the market, and how is it doing? If not, when is it coming?
It's out. It came out in February of this year, and it's in both paperback, hardback, and ebook. And it's been doing quite well. I talked to the publisher. I wasn't sure how it was doing because I can't read the numbers very well myself. And they said it's a bestseller right now. So that thrilled me to death. I'm glad that parents and kids are starting to get into it. Caregivers. I'm hoping to get a hold of some librarians, in schools and say, hey, we have this book, go check it out. And I just submitted my second book, the follow-up to Ali's Big Adventure, to production. It's in production now. So I'm just waiting to hear back on how that's going to go. We do a back and forth, and I have the final say in how it looks. So I'm excited about that one.
Okay, so that will be the sequel to what? Ali's the next book in this series, Ali's Big Ed. What's the name of the? When is that coming out?
I haven't heard for sure. Since it's in production, I was kind of hoping for the end of November, 1st of December, but I haven't heard anything. So, and this one's called Ali and the Ganderwat, which I introduce a brand new character who's totally over the top. He's totally different. He's massive. He's big. He's fun. And hopefully he's not scary to the kids, but Allie's afraid of him at first. So he learns lessons along the way about how to find, overcoming fear and that sort of thing, and finding determination to accomplish something new. So that's the theme for the second book.
Right. So let's understand more about the existing book, Ali's Big Adventure. What is this book? We can know it's about adventure, but I want to understand how did this whole character of Ali, came up? What inspired you? And tell us a bit about this book. Is it only for children? Others can read it. And I saw it on your website. There is this character called Mika. So I don't know how it is, but in India also it's a name that may be found in many places. Mika. So a lot of Indians will also perhaps identify with that.
Well, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize. When I first made the picture book, it was a project in high school. I was taking advanced art design, and I had to come up with, we were given an assignment. You had to create a picture book that you put together and it was mostly pictures with a strung along storyline. And I was trying to develop a creature that was funny and fun, and he was kind of lovable. And I came up with the Ali puffball. That's what I call him. He's a puffball, and he didn't have arms. He just had legs, and he bounces. He does a lot of things with his legs, and he bounces to get around. But he can't control his bounce. And then I developed the Mika character because of my little brother. At that time, my youngest brother was 6 years old, and he had a wild imagination, the kind of imagination I love to see in kids these days. And he had an invisible friend, and his friend was called Boy. So I developed this boy character in my story, and I decided, okay, I just called him Boy at that time. When I got to college and I developed the story further, I changed the name to Micah or Mika. It just depends on where you live is what it's going to be called. And those two were the main characters, but I also had to put in a talking pony because I've always loved horses and ponies. And the talking pony would have a definite attitude, he would speak his mind. Yes, and then when I put that together, I also had to do a film strip and a comic strip for this design project. And I got an A+ on it. So I decided, okay, and I used to get the little book out and read it to various people. I even read it to my daughter and my little sister when she came along. And it was very popular with the family. So I decided when I got older, okay, we're just going to go back to the drawing board and we're going to do this again. And we're going to do it right. So that's how those characters came about.
Right. So how many pages do you have? And it's all more of, visuals or, artistic or writing also. How much writing is there in that book?
The writing, well, I did have to cut the story down because it went from a chapter book to, it's a picture book. So I had to cut it way down. It was over 3,000 words, and 3,800 words. And I had to cut it down to 800 and some so that it would fit into this picture book. And I ended up doing 24 pictures for that one. And for the next one, I did 30. So I think that the pictures are really important to get the story moving along because you don't use as much description when you do a children's book. You rely on the pictures for the kids, for their imagination, to pick up the colors, to pick up, the settings. And I did this first one in colored pencil, which I like a good control with the pencil, but in the next one, I did it in acrylics. So as you can see, there's these these tones in this book with I think one of the pictures in here that I really like, this one, you can see they were soft tones, but it's enough there for the imagination. But when I did the second one, I did a much more vibrant picture,
Right.
paintings, so that it would really grab the kids' attention. I wanted the pictures to leap off the page so that while they're hearing the story, they could really get into it.
Right, right. And talking of pictures, Roxy, I want to understand in these times of artificial intelligence and so many colors, artificial colors and paintings on the mobile phone. If you see, everything comes brighter. It's much more sometimes brighter than what real life is, and people start thinking that may be the real life. That is how real life should be. Children are very impressionable minds,
Yes.
so how, when they compare these colors that are in their lives through the gadgets that they are using nowadays, and the real colors that you use in your pictures, how do you think they look at it? How do you think the real colors will be able to attract them, or is it that they really like those real colors and not these artificial ones?
They seem to be drawn to artwork. I think because I was told the AI stuff is basically a no-no if you really want your books to sell. Because a lot of people have become dependent on AI and different things. And I wrote these stories. I didn't do an AI. I painted these stories without the AI. And that became the most fun for me, the creative side. And I'm hoping that carries over to kids. They seem to really enjoy the colors of the current book, and the new book will even be brighter. So I'm thinking they seem to think that's more at home. It's more old fashioned, sort of in that way. I don't depend on any added help, so to speak. What you see is what you get.
Absolutely. And children, what they see should be real, and what should it imagine should also be real. And that's a nice thing to see, that they really like this artwork. But you see, they will read one book, they will move to another book, but parents are with them for a long time. So how do parents create that atmosphere so that through different means they can infuse that creativity, that art of storytelling, the appreciation of things that are real and so beautiful? How do they do that? What would you be your advice for children and their for the parents especially?
I know that these days life is really fast paced everywhere, basically. And you're working and doing everything. But if you can spend just a few minutes before bedtime with the child, if you're not an at home parent or caregiver, those moments in the evening before the child is settling down, getting ready to crash and sleep, whatever, spending those few minutes with the child, sit down, cuddle, whatever, and read a good story. Even if you have to break it up into little sections, depending on the child's, you know, attention span. A lot of times when a child is sleepy, tired, they might listen a little better. But I like to see them have time during the day as well, where they can just sit down, maybe if they're at home, homeschoolers or whatever, just to sit down with a paper and crayons. That's what I started with. And just color. It's the world around them that they're picking up. And just let them play with what they see, and maybe create their own. And that's the most fun I've had. I used to do that when I worked at a museum of natural history. So animals were there, real live animals. I taught about them, And that's why I felt it was important to add them into the pictures. And I would have the kids, if there was enough time, sit down and just draw what you see. Just whatever. You could be a purple something or other. It doesn't matter as long as they're doing something. And I would go to schools and we would have some interaction that way. And then I gave them a whole section of time. Let's draw, let's create, let's do something that you learn, that you see, make it fun, that sort of thing. And then at home, if they can do that as well once in a while, if their parents are working, it's a little more difficult to do. But in the evenings, you can always sit down and just cuddle and do something together.
Absolutely. So how do you see this whole journey of yours? Some of your childhood dreams coming true at this age. Now you get to, be a child yourself, because you have to think like a child,
Yes.
and then create everything. How do you see this whole thing that has happened to you? Real life, real colors, real in real time. Not only for the kids, but also for you.
It has been a lot of fun, especially doing the artwork after I've written the story, because it usually doesn't take me long to develop the story. It only takes a few passes, and then I send it to the editing. And then when it comes back, this last time they didn't have to hardly do anything because they felt like the characters carried over so well. And so I thought, yay, now I can get started on the pictures. But I have to reach down and get a hold of that little kid inside of me to do this, because that little kid always had fun, always felt like, okay, there's an adventure to be had out there. Let's do an adventure. And it's been a dream come true, really, to see this happen. It's just, it's taken a lot more time than I expected.
Absolutely. And it is going to be an adventurous life, from Ali's big adventure to the second one that is coming. You created Ali, and now it will hold your hands into the future
Yes.
in a lot of sense.
Yes, it will. I just, I never know what to expect. I'm learning all about advertising as well. So that's been very interesting part of the journey. I didn't know a lot about it, but I have learned a lot about it. And that's why I'm trying to do podcasts and different things so that I can get the word out and have this, exploring the new world of this type of creativity as compared to what I used to do, taking care of people. So yes, it's been fun. It's been fun so far.
Wonderful. So for lots of things to learn from you, Roxie, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to learn more about what you do, how you do this children's book. And so a lot of people who would want to, connect with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Well, I have a website, and it's called roxiefiste.com. And there I have a newsletter. You can learn all about the book and the new book that's coming. And there's activities that the parents can, when they sign up for the newsletter, they can actually get those for free. And then in the new book, I also have a page at the back of the book where it says create your own character. So when that one becomes available, then they can do that. But they don't have to wait until then. They can do it now.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.